Hey, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are watching from. Glad that you could join us here today celebrating. This is the 1000th video for the channel. So that's kind of exciting. I saw the numbers kind of creeping up as I was doing a bunch of videos at the Rio properties in Punta Cana, and wasn't quite sure what to do for the 1000th video, but I thought a sort of look back over the years would be kind of fun. And it was interesting pulling it all together over the last couple of days, making little smaller clips of videos that we've done. And recurring theme seems to be lots of bloopers, lots of videos with Tammy involved. Of course, we have taken, I can't even imagine how many trips in total, but there's been lots, and lots of good laughs along the way. So yeah, today we are going to take a little walk down memory lane and share some of the funny moments during some of the filming of these videos, and also some bloopers that have happened. But it's all fun, and it's all in the name of sharing the information. And sometimes you might think, well, look, I bet if you watch videos from Yes Theory or even Guga, there's not many blooper rolls that you're going to see, but um, my videos do have them. And sometimes it's just a case of, let it roll. And sometimes it's a case of, this is real life. So let's show people, how things roll. Um, One of the clips that I didn't include today is, it was me actually doing, top 5 tips for Cabo. And one of the tips was, if you're sitting on the beaches are public in Mexico. So, although the Rio properties and some of the other ones, they do tend to have a sort of a demarcation point. So they put a little, block in the sand with a rope along it, and that's to sort of indicate where, you know, the resort guests can go up to that point and the vendors shouldn't come in. And so I was explaining that, if you're on the public side, if you're on, in the beach area, that you're going to have vendors who are going to come up, and, some of them can be a little bit, not persuasive, but pervasive, and really grilling you, and pushing you to try to buy something. And others, it's just a simple no gracias, and they walk away. and, and just as I was explaining this, one of the vendors on the beach came up behind me and he's like, "Oh, you want to buy some silver jewelry?" We're like, no gracias. But overall, it wasn't the best video clip, but yeah. So let's just go ahead and jump in. Gonna get rid of this banner. So if you're just tuning in now, thanks again for tuning in. This is the thousand. This is video number 1000 for the channel. So yeah, we're gonna take a little walk down memory lane and take a look at some videos. So the first one, actually, I'll close this. So the first video that I'm going to show you is a clip. This was from, oh gosh, I should have had this open. There we go. Oh, and if you're interested in watching the full clip of these videos, look in the description below, because I have the name of the video as well as the link to it, so you can see that if you want to watch the full video later on. Some of them are, the clips are so short, the actual video was so short that the clip is going to show you the vast majority of the video. Others, such as some of the last two, were quite long, quite a bit longer videos, more like 15 minutes in that area. So if you want to see the rest of the video, you can certainly click there. So the first video that I'm going to show you, it's from November 2011, and this was a we had just walked to Costco. We were staying at the Rio Santa Fe, which is right in Cabo San Lucas, Mexico, and back in 2011. I think it's fair to say that it's truthful to say that they did not have good wine. And we used to have wine events out here in Vancouver, and we'd have wineries from Mexico, or even, going to resort trade shows. And I'd say, like, "What's the deal with the wine?" And they'd say, "We just can't get good wine in the region." Well, I don't know what changed. Now they certainly do. I don't recall if I had a glass of white wine at the Rio Santa Fe when I was there last year. But if I go back this year, I will try it and let you know. But definitely the wine at the Rio Cabo San Lucas and the Rio Palace, Baja California, was absolutely fine, which back then it was, still a bit dodgy. Just a bit rough. So the one day, Tammy and I decided to take matters into our own hands and throw a bit of money at the problem. So we walked across the highway. Don't recommend this. It's a very busy highway. So don't, take your own chances with this. Take a taxi or an Uber. It's very easy. But nonetheless, we walked across the highway, we went to Costco, and we had a little look around. And it was kind of cool because we found out that you can make purchases on credit cards, which you could never do in the past, and not certainly not back in 2011. And also that they had wine at quite reasonable prices. But the title of this video is called the Costco Runaway Shopping Cart. So again, sometimes when you're doing a quick little video, whether it's a professional video for YouTube or you're just filming something for a friend or doing a quick FaceTime, sometimes things go a bit sideways. And that was kind of what happened here as a shopping cart sort of came in from out of the blue. So let's take a look at this clip and let me know how this looks to you. I know there's not too many of you watching, but there's a few of you. And I'm just curious to see what this is like. It's something a little bit different that I'm trying with this streaming service. So
okay, so we just finished shopping in Costco. They had a really good selection. They had some different stuff. You can get your duty-free Yellowtail Chardonnay was $9 US, and you can even get like Captain Morgan rum was about $12.
So, I mean, like, where did that come from? Yeah, it was just, I don't even know what happened there, but Tammy was filming me as I'm busy chatting, and then all of a sudden, yeah, so I don't know if that was somebody who was trying to put away their cart, but they didn't want to be on the video, or it was just a random cart going for a ride. But it was kind of funny at the time. The next video was actually filmed the same day, and whilst, as I said, the beer wasn't sorry, the wine wasn't great at that resort, but the beer was fine. But oh yeah, Tammy's saying that still makes me laugh. I know, it cracks me up. So the beer was fine at the resort. It was Corona, or I think they had Modelo or something. But there wasn't much of it in the minibar. And so we decided that we wanted to also throw some money at that problem. And well, here's what happened. So, this one here. So we wanted to get that restocked. We had about 4 beers left, and we drank a lot of water last night. So there's only 1.5 bottles of water left and a couple of miscellaneous pops. So what I did is I wrote a little note and put that in the fridge. So I said, hola, por favor, please, more beer, more Diet Pepsi, more water, and some club soda. Thank you, and our names. And I folded it up and put a little $5 bill inside and placed it inside the bar fridge. Now we've just come back to our room, and it's nice and cool. And we open up our fridge, and it's like Christmas. Did you get anything good? Well, check it out. It's like a gold mine. So we've got a dozen beer in there. I don't know, 8 pops, a bunch of water. Yeah, so that was an interesting one where, like I said, $5 goes a long way. So it's definitely worth checking out if you are not getting much by way of minibar service, so definitely consider that for future. So that was kind of fun. We expected to get a few extra drinks, but we didn't expect like to get all of the drinks. So that was pretty cool. Okay, so then where are we at now? So this was a different trip that actually had taken place in December of 2010. And this was Air Canada had their first inaugural direct nonstop flight from Vancouver to Jamaica. So we decided to take advantage of a package that was available over Christmas. And um, we booked into what was previously known as the Sunset Jamaica Grand, which I teasingly call the Sunset Jamaica Not So Grand. It is now the Moon Palace Resort, so they completely, torn it down and rebuilt it and stuff like that. But it wasn't as a the Sunset Jamaica Grand. It wasn't a great property. We went to the buffet for dinner that night. And I always love doing a buffet video, and those are extremely popular on my channel. That would have taken me about 25 seconds. There were 8 items at the buffet, and that included a multi-vegetable dish, which was like peas, carrots, and beans. So those were 3 of the foods that were available. It was hands down the worst buffet I have ever encountered. The a la cartes, on the contrary, were actually quite nice. The rooms were awful. So, from the Moon Palace's perspective, I'm glad that they decided to just tear it down and rebuild. That was a smart move on their part. One of the cool things, though, that they did have on property was a water slide. And my husband decided he was going to take one of the cameras and take a ride down the water slide. But he did have a slight issue partway down where, well, I'll let you watch and find out. So here it comes.
There we go. Bye. Woo! Yeehaw! Whoop, 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 whoop. Yep, come on.
So obviously the water slide was a little bit faster than he anticipated. Hopefully, can you hear me when I start talking? I don't know how that works. Let me know, Tammy, if you're watching. When I started talking there, did you hear the whole thing? I'm curious. I haven't had a chance to test this system out yet, so we'll work with it as we go. But yeah, it was obviously a little bit faster than he had anticipated. And then, of course, when you get back to trying to grab the camera and get control of it, as well as, meanwhile, you're getting thrown around the water slide. It was kind of interesting. And on that point, I will put a little safety notice here. There's probably not one resort that I know of that has opened that hasn't had to tweak their water slides when they first open. Sometimes they're too fast, sometimes they're too slow, and there's not enough water flowing. So personally, I would recommend, if the resort has just opened that day, the day before, the week before, the month before, I would probably recommend maybe watch somebody else go down the water slides before you decide to participate, because excuse me, it's sometimes they can be very, very fast. And I know a friend of mine at one of the resorts, which shall remain nameless, was really worried because it was an open air water slide, and on one of the curves they went up, and it was fast enough that they were concerned that they might go beyond the safety barriers of the edge of the slide and shoot off into the mangroves or something. So just, like I said, have a watch for somebody else to go down the water slide first, see how it looks like, and then you decide. Hey, Angelo, how are you? Okay, good, good, good. Thanks for letting me know. Yeah, working with technology is great, and what it can do is so amazing compared to years and years ago. But I think it still has the upper hand. All right. So, yeah, that one was from 2010, but uploaded in June 2011. Oh, and then the next one I've got is a throwback. This one was actually a little bit unnerving. So we decided to go to Disneyland. I'd never been before. And during that trip, we also decided to go to Universal Studios. Again, for both activities. This is my first time going to LA, first time being in California, first time Disneyland, as well as Universal Studios. And it was really interesting. We did the backlot tour, so you got to see where the pit, the water pit area was, where they filmed Jaws, and that still had that as an active uh, thing to look at. And also they had just a bunch of different sets that you could go and see. Like for those of you who are closer to my age, you'll recall the movie Backdraft, which starred Patrick Swayze amongst others. I think one of the which brothers were they? The one who's always was making fun of Trump during his first first 4 years. Again, the Baldwin brothers. I think one of the Baldwins was in it. Anyway, so we got to see that, and they lit it up, and all the pyrotechnics of it. But oh yeah, and here we got Angelo saying do good. 24 how those 30-something people are in the videos. Who those 30-something people are. Oh, yeah. Yeah, Baldwin. Yeah, thank you. Takes a while. But yeah, so this one clip that I have, it was a section where we were coming up to what was sort of pretending to be the Norman Bates Hotel. I forget what the movie was called, but it's the movie with Norman Bates. Oh, Billy Baldwin. Okay, thanks, Bojangles. Kurt Russell. Oh, that's right. He was the older brother. Yeah. Yeah, it was a good movie. It was a classic, back in the day, right? Oh, 20-something-year-olds. Ah, yes. Got the sun blasting in my eye, which I'm not complaining about. It's nice. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead with this clip. So this is, as I say, going up to the Norman. Oh, okay. I totally didn't understand what you were saying. Okay, I get it now. Yeah. Yeah, it's 20 years. It's true. Like, it's amazing what 10 or 15 years will do to you, right? It's like, can I get a drug for that, or an injection or something? Yeah, back in those youthful days. Okay, all right. So now I'm gonna show you this Norman Bates clip. There we go. Okay.
Norman Bates. Looks like he's disposing of a body. Hopefully no one I know. That person didn't laugh at my jokes from an earlier tour, so you keep that in mind. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. He's on to us. You can't take us all, Norman. We won't fit in that trunk. There's too many of us. You'd have to cut us up into little pieces. Oh, no! He's ready to do that, folks. Dave, get us out of here. Quickly, Dave. Quickly. Must go faster. Must go faster. Car 1's cool. I like car 1. You can have car 3. Take car 3. They're not laughing at my jokes. Get him. Car 4. Take him.
So in case you didn't know, that's what I sound like when I shriek, because that was me. Screaming like a baby. I mean, I get it, right? I mean, this is Hollywood, folks. They're good at it. You really felt like you were in the moment, and as much as it was like, oh, this is funny, haha, but it was still like what was really cool about that tour is that a couple of the ladies on the bus who we were sitting near, they actually, one of the first things they asked was whether or not we'd been on the tour before. And of course I said, well, no, I mean, this is my first time to, the park and everything. And so they said, okay. And that's all they said. And then she knew I had my camera and I was kind of filming some stuff. But this is back in the day before, YouTube was really a big thing. And she would kind of nudge me and she'd go, okay, like watch on this side. So, oh, okay. And then that's when the Norman Bates thing happened. And so I think I was sitting like right on the edge in the last car of, as you heard, he said there was train 1, train 2, and train 3. And I was the last car on train 2 on the Norman Bates side. So as he's walking closer and closer, it's like, whew, get me out of here. Yeah. Oops, sorry. Yeah, I was a little slow on the uptake on that one. Both babies. Yeah. Well, so, this is what life and beer and wine will do to you, I guess. So, yeah, but it's all been good over the years. Lots of fun and lots of great adventures, as we like to say. So next up is not anything too crazy, but this was just an example of the rain. This was from, when was it from? June 2013. And as I say in the video, when you're traveling at usually the beginning of hurricane season can be bad. August, September are obviously the peak times for more storm activity and stuff like that. But it's not uncommon to get a lot of rain during those months. So, that can make it unfortunate for filming because look at this sexy resort sopping in rain and there's nobody doing anything and there's nothing happening because it's pouring rain and it's flooded everywhere. So that it makes it a challenge for filming, but also it's just not super fun. A day of rain, a couple hours of rain, sure, that's fine because then, you can just go and watch Netflix for a couple hours, which you might normally not ever do in our busy, busy lives, or go and read a book. I think I read over the last 2 years, I think I've read 2 books. Both of those were last year. But I just don't have time for that. So when it's raining and you're on vacation, it's kind of nice to be forced to do nothing. So I'll show you this clip of because when it rains in Mexico, I mean, it pours. Let's check it out. Okay, it's not working that way. Do it this way.
So this is what happens when you decide to travel in June. It's massive tropical storm rolling through. It's been raining like this for like 2 hours. AccuWeather says thunderstorm possible with up to 10 millimeters of rain. Like, seriously, I'm thinking more like 2 feet.
Yeah, that was pretty wicked. And I'm sure you've all seen storms like that before where it's just incessant. We did one time, it rained solid like that for the better part of a day, and on into the next day. And we were staying at a resort, I think it was the El Dorado Maroma, where they had a free shuttle into Playa del Carmen. So we thought, okay, great. We're stuck at the resort. We've kind of done as much of nothing as we can do. Let's do a change of scenery. So we decided to take a taxi or the free shuttle into town. And it was really interesting because you're seeing areas that are completely flooded out and, like a foot and a half of water. And the couple that was sitting in front of us, they could speak Spanish, or he could. And he's talking to the driver and, back then I had no idea what he was saying. And, so he was basically talking to the driver about how much water there was. And of course, I would have either been in sandals, like walking sandals, or flip-flops. And his girlfriend was in nice sandals. And so he said to the driver, and he turned to us and he said, he said they're not going to stay. They're not going to stop because it's like you can't even see where the sidewalk is. And I mean, as we know, um, a lot of times the sidewalks in Mexico are not necessarily smooth and, that kind of thing. So he didn't want to risk tripping or falling or something like that because then he's got to, imagine that you're on vacation and you go out into the water and then you have a misstep and you cut yourself. You got to go to the hospital to get stitches and you've been in muddy, gross rainwater. So, as much as it would have been interesting to go out and have a look around, it really functionally wasn't possible. So we just turned around and went home. But, you adapt, right? There's not much else you can do. You've got to, basically just roll with it and figure out what's going to be best. So that's what we did. Okay, so the next one. Okay, I think this was one of the last. Okay, so in Saint Martin, the island of Saint Martin in the Caribbean, which is sort of, as the islands go around and down at the bottom, you've got Trinidad and Tobago and Curacao and Barbados. And sort of at the top, I think they call them the Leeward Islands, is where Saint Martin is located. And if you've ever seen those photos or videos where you've got the plane coming in and it's coming in right over the beach. I mean, there is Aruba actually is really you can get really close to the runway. You can see the planes coming in to land, but it's not flying over you. It's not quite the same experience. The planes literally go right over top. What I found interesting is when you're filming this and you're holding your camera, you're looking into the camera so that you make sure that you're not going, oh, wow, look at, and the camera's still facing this way. But when you're doing that and you're following the plane, it looks a lot closer than it is. So it's, a little bit disconcerting. But nonetheless, this was one of the jumbo jets flying in. This next clip is the KLM flight flying in from Amsterdam and flying in to land at the airport in Saint Martin. So let's have a look. Look at that water. Wow. Yeah, a little wobbly. Nothing concerning about that. Yeah, so that was pretty cool. I mean, if you're a plane spotter at all, then if you enjoy watching things like that, I mean, Maho Beach is the place to be. We literally, as soon as we got to the hotel, we were unpacking and we were excited to go out and check out the runway. There's a couple of bars on either side of the runway, or well, close to the runway, where you can see the planes coming in and get some really great shots of the plane right over top of the beach coming into land. And they have placards which say what big planes are coming in. Although I will say that sometimes the smaller planes are a little bit more interesting because they're smaller jets, and when they come in, especially if it's windy, they're like landing on one wheel. It's absolutely crazy. But it was really cool to see. And as we're unpacking, you'd hear a plane coming in to land and be like, oh, quick, there's something. And you go running to the window to watch it coming in. The Maho Beach, the Sonesta Maho Beach Resort was great for that. You could see it coming in. Unfortunately, there was a timeshare hotel between the Sonesta and the runway. So you could see them coming in, but you couldn't quite see them landing. So unless they increase the height of the Sonesta or buy out that other one and lower it, you're not going to be able to see it from there. But it's a very easy walk. It's like literally a block away. So great location for watching the flights. What do we got coming up next? That was that one. Okay, this was an interesting one. Angelo, you might have recognized this. When you look at resort photos, especially for what was formerly AMR resorts, Or for example, the like Secrets, Breathless, Zoetry, Dreams, Sunscape, now Hyatt Vivid, now soon to be the Hyatt Ziva and Zilara resorts, because the Inclusive Collection by Hyatt just bought out the Playa resorts, which previously managed the Hyatt Ziva and Zilara properties. Interesting times. We'll see what happens with that. But nonetheless, if you look at the videos, if you look at the room photos, what they do is when a resort is announced, they will do renderings. So it's an artist who's drawn up what the room is meant to look like. And from the flowers around the restaurants to the paintings on the wall to the color of the duvets and stuff like that. I actually did a comparison with Dreams Portaventuras before and after, with the renderings that they were using to show what the resort was going to look like after the renovations. And then I went there, and I mean, aside from a few flowers being slightly different color or slightly out of place, it was insane. I mean, the renderings are pretty much what you're going to get. What's slightly different is if you look really closely at the photos, you will see that in the room videos, the room photos, they don't have windows. There's no glass. And part of the reason for this is A, to make it look more spacious. B, this is my interpretation, this is not official. To make it look more spacious. B, to avoid any reflections, because they're using proper models, they're using proper, they've got the box lighting and all this kind of stuff. So it's interesting to see, like, how do they manage this? So here's the behind the scenes look at what's happening to show you the rooms without the windows.
So they're actually doing all the room videos and the resort videos here today. They're doing it all week, and just a ton of work goes into these. They actually removed the windows, the patio windows, and to give it a more open look, and so that you're not distracted by that or have reflection, and making it look pretty.
Yeah, so I mean, that's pretty wild. Like, if you think about how those buildings are, I'm just plugging in. If you think about how those buildings are made and the windows are sealed and they're built to withstand hurricanes, and yet somehow they're able to come in and just remove them and do their filming and then put them back in. I think there was a rainstorm that night, and I thought, oh man, like, I think Tammy, I think you were there with me as well. And I think we talked about it, and it's like, well, how are they going to manage with this? Because if it rains, like, the room's going to get flooded. And they had the windows all reinstalled by the time the storm hit. It was absolutely crazy. Oh, interesting. Yeah, so Angela's saying that they did a photo shoot of the Rio in Las Vegas. Yeah, it's really interesting watching them doing all the setups and stuff like that. And when they are doing that, I try to be, like, just ever so slightly behind them, because they know the best shot. And so I try to recreate that. That said, if my shot looks exactly like their shot, what added value does that have for you? Absolutely nothing. So I'll try to show it from a different angle. We've all seen those TripAdvisor posts where you see a resort photo of the pool, and it looks like it's this massive, unending, sort of wavy, curvy pool. And then when it actually comes down to it, you'll see they'll have another review company who will come in and they'll show it from a different angle, and then they'll go, yeah, that's actually where the end of the pool is. So where theater of the mind, right? It made you think that the pool just carried on, and you didn't know, oh gosh, this must be massive. And nope, that was actually it. They just didn't show you the edge of the pool. So you just thought that it went on and on. Yeah, yeah, it was crazy, and those poor people, like, the models, if they had to be in the water and then get out of the water, well, that's all fine and good, but they're in makeup and hair done and all that, so it's not like they wanna sit in the sun, and they're not meant to be there sun tanning. So they're not in the sun, which means to say they're getting cold. And so, yeah, it was really interesting. If you like behind the scenes stuff, which I do, then that was definitely interesting to watch them do all of that. Okay, the next up, this is an interesting one. Oh, and I should have had the stats ready. This is from May of 2019. We're already up to May now. Sorry, 2019 now. And I got about 6 more clips for you. So we'll whiz through these. But this was a fun one. Tammy, you'll recall this. Brett, if he's watching, you can hear him in it. And this was the inaugural sailing from Vancouver to LA on board the Norwegian Joy. I believe it was the first time having a ship of this size in Vancouver Harbor. We were docked at Canada Place, and this ship, the Norwegian Sun, I believe, is its sister ship. Tammy, correct me if I'm wrong on that one. And they're both equally huge, and they both can, well, the Sun, I think it's the Sun or the Pearl, they come in once a year at the beginning of the season as part of a repositioning thing, and then after that, they only sail out of Seattle. Seattle, you don't have to sail under a bridge, which in my opinion, it's pretty cool sailing under the bridge. That said, if you live here in Vancouver, you know that we get bridge strikes all the time, not by ships, but by tow trucks, construction vehicles, whatever, so overpasses is what they're hitting. So on land, it's a fairly common occurrence. I think we've had 22 bridge strikes or overpass strikes in the last 2 months. But fortunately, with the Norwegian Joy, which was so large that between the ship, top of the ship, and the bottom of the Lionsgate Bridge, which we sailed over, which goes from downtown Vancouver or Stanley Park over to North Vancouver, we had 6 feet clearance. 6 feet. I'm 5'5". So one of me plus 7 inches. So not a lot of clearance for a multi-million-dollar ship, and what would effectively be a $1 billion bridge rebuild if there was to be any contact. Tammy says, oh yeah, she's drinking out of her Norwegian Joy Yeti mug right now. Oh, okay. So the Bliss is the one that comes in every April. Oh, so that's coming up pretty soon. Interesting. Bliss, Escapes, and Encore are sister ships to the Norwegian Joy. So yeah, that's always interesting to see. And again, that's why those other large ships don't sail from Vancouver, is because they're too tall to be able to clear the bridge. So this is a clip of us sailing underneath of it. We're just coming up to it. Again, first time ever a ship of this size has sailed under this bridge. And it was, it was a little bit tense, but we had trust. We had trust in the captain, and we had alcohol. So it made it's no problem. But let's take a look.
That's like 6 feet. That's crazy.
So the video that I did of that one, it actually shows, the full video shows it actually going right underneath, and then from the reverse view. So it's pretty cool. And our friend Freddie actually was on land on the Stanley Park side and took a photo of us going under the bridge. It was absolutely crazy. But yeah, it was event free, so we didn't have any incident free, I should say. But it was pretty cool to sail under it and to see how they were able to navigate that. Initially, we were told, probably jokingly by our sales rep, that we wouldn't be departing until 11 p.m. that night. because of having to wait for low tide and all that kind of stuff. And those of you who've sailed before know that the sail away party, that's part of the whole cruise experience. I mean, you get on board and you're all sailing away, and it's not like going to a hotel or resort where you've got, the Smith family is arriving on Monday and the Jones family arrives on Wednesday, and Tammy and I get there on Thursday and Angelo gets there on Sunday. Everybody's having their own experience. On a cruise ship, you might be staying longer, you might have already been on the ship, but from destination to destination, everybody's in it for that particular route. So there's a sense of camaraderie, and having the sailway party, is where like, hey, the party's getting started, let's have some fun. And so that was the whole thing. So sailing under the bridge is a pretty cool experience. So if you want to see that whole video again, the link's in the comment below, you can check that out. So the next video is from September 2020. And well, we all know what happened in 2020. So that was an interesting year to, not to overdo this phrase, but that was pivot time if ever there was one. I mean, I was trying to get my channel up and running, and I had actually been trying to get enough videos and stuff like that to get monetized. And back then I had to have like 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 watch hours. The watch hours weren't a problem, but getting 1,000 subscribers can be a challenge, which I achieved on April 1st. Well, of course, COVID hit mid-March. By April 1st, I got monetized, and then we were in lockdown. So yay. So then I was trying to figure out what kind of videos to do. And one of the videos that I did was talking about, different recipes from different places. I was doing remote interviews with resorts, as they would be in Mexico and walking around the resort and showing me what the pools and the views look like. And I would be at home and doing the interview. But we also got some sort of creative. And this was one where my husband always likes to have hot peppers, and he likes spicy food. So he grew some peppers, which are actually the second hottest pepper in the world. It's called a Trinidad scorpion. And the entire video has been seen by our entire family and extended family, and it's pretty hilarious. But I'm going to show you a clip. This is just where Dean is, he's had a couple of bites of the pepper, and he's not too fazed by it. So he goes in for a different piece to try to find the heat, because he knows it's hiding there somewhere. So let's see what this looks like.
So I'm going to cut deep into the pepper here.
Yeah, but then you're going to get into the seeds.
Well, that's kind of where the heat normally is, so we'll cut a back end piece here. Alright, here we go again. This is number 3. It's arrived. That piece is...
Get rid of it.
It's burning.
Don't swallow it.
Whoa! It is the oncoming storm. Bloody hell! But it hasn't really hit yet. But I can just feel it.
Your face
I know.
is beet red.
I know it's gonna happen. It's just literally flooding through my mouth right now. The heat. So.
Do you want some yogurt?
So that's a win. I can wash my hands. Yeah, I'm gonna have to go and eat something like cheese. It's crazy. It's burning, absolutely burning.
So the video does carry on a little bit from there, but Angelo, I tell you what, he had some milk, he had some yogurt, he had some bread. We tried sugar. Somebody had suggested sugar. He tried everything. And yeah, so what happens is with the hot peppers, there's an oil in the pepper, and it's called capsicum. and water won't wash it away. It needs something to bind to in order to pull away that capsicum oil. And so, and Tammy will recall this. I've got a story about that in a second. No video, but a story. And yeah, so bread can help, but or milk as well. It's just you got to have something to pull that away. But important tip there is he didn't swallow it, because once that hits your digestive system, the turmoil that is going to create is not good, not good. But yeah, like I said, the whole video, that's the Trinidad scorpion video, if you want to watch all of that one below. Tammy had a similar experience where we were at Dreams Port Aventuras, or what's now called Dreams Aventuras Resort. And we ordered some stuff, and Tammy's always very healthy. So she, I think, started off with a salad, and then she ordered her main course, and they had a side of peppers. And so she thought, great, this would be like fajita, green pepper, red peppers. And so they arrived, and it was, as evening, and it, for ambiance, the restaurant wasn't terribly well lit. And so she gets this plate of peppers, and she pulls some onto her plate, and she takes a good bite of it. And it wasn't green peppers, red peppers. These were hot peppers. I think they were serranos. They weren't jalapenos. I think they were serranos, which is, I think, slightly hotter. And all of a sudden she's dying, and I'm like calling over to the server, like, we need something. We need bread. We need milk. We need something. And Tammy's just, she's dying. And she's like, oh my God, like, why, why would you serve that? And the server's like, whoa, some people like, spicy. And she's like, who would eat that? And so, we had a good laugh about it, because it was, it wasn't tragic or anything. But then I messaged my husband, and I was telling him about, oh my God. And I took a picture of the peppers, and he's like, oh, that looks delicious. And, no, because I was having the roasted mushrooms, and that was totally different. But you got the peppers. I remember they were called peppers, but they just weren't clearly labeled as being the most spiciest peppers that you'll ever eat. So, like I said, I'm messaging my husband, and I'm going, oh my God, this is what happened. And Tammy's like, oh, who would eat that? And he sends back a photo of what he's having for dinner, which was some kind of meat and a plate of hot peppers that he was grilling. So yeah, if you ever want to know where to get this, oh, and I'll tell you what, that's also a resort that has some wickedly hot sauce. We were there with two other couples one time, and we were having some chips and salsa, and my husband asked for some hot sauce, and they brought some, and they said, oh, be careful, senor, it's muy picante, very spicy. And so he tries it, and he's like, he says, do you have anything with a bit more, and si, senor. So off he goes, and he comes back with a little carafe, or a little container, and he says, well, he's, please be very, very careful. This is really, really spicy. And so Dean says, well, what kind of peppers are they? And he says, oh, they're a mix of serranos and jalapenos and something spicier. So Dean says, okay, well, yeah, I'll give it a try. So he has a little bit, and he's like, oh, habaneros. It's habaneros. And so he tries it, and he's like, oh, and then he tries it a bit more, and he's like, yeah, I like it. It's great. My other friend, he tries it. He's like, it's great. The other couple of friends had eaten earlier, and they come by, and we were eating at the Mexican restaurant, which has, sort of open air windows and stuff. And our friend reaches in, and he grabs a chip, and he scoops up this dip, and he's hucking it into his mouth before we can say, stop. He did not have a comfortable evening, because he had a pretty big scoop of it. But yeah. Oh, wow. Oh, a chi-chi, yeah. Yeah. And that's another good one, because it's sort of that milky thing, so it's gonna bind the capsicum to it. So, nonetheless, I mean, you're still washing it down your throat into your stomach, but at least you've got the milk there to hopefully temper it and relieve some of the heat. But yeah, hot sauce stories are always interesting. Oh my gosh. So I don't know about you, but I like watching cooking shows, and one of my favorite shows to watch is channels to watch on YouTube is Sam the Cooking Guy. And he's notorious for, over the years, he would make a recipe and he would have he would make something with sauce, and then he wouldn't have a cloth nearby, so he would be wiping his face with a roll of paper towel. And so this is me. We had gone to Rarotonga, which if you whether you're wanting to see something interesting as a video or you're thinking of going somewhere exotic, it's worth watching the whole thing. Again, links in the comments below, this description below. But this is me trying one of the sandwiches at the local market, and well, it didn't go as smoothly as planned.
And now here's my ever so messy and slightly hilarious tasting of it.
We're here at the market, and I've seen a bunch of people walking around with these, call them steak rolls. And I've asked a couple of people, and this right here is apparently the place to get them. They're $10. It's basically grilled steak, almost like fajita meat, with a mushroom sauce, which is garlicky and insanely good. Take a bite. Yep. Oh, definitely all over my face. Wipe that with the bun so we can save it for later. I need a Sam the Cooking Guy
Paper towel.
paper towel. Yeah, it's all over my face. Absolutely delicious. Highly recommend if you are here at Rarotonga at the Saturday morning market. Thumbs up.
You gotta roll with the punches, right? Sauce all over my face, but it was tasty, and it was worth sharing for sure. So yeah, sort of these somewhat self-deprecating. Well, I don't know if that's self-deprecating or just embarrassing, but it was tasty, and it was one of those moments. So, and then on to our third last one. And this was, so look, sometimes when I'm explaining this stuff, I'm on the fly and I'm trying to remember prices and where we are and all that kind of stuff. And clearly sometimes it gets a little bit confusing, but this was from some different places that we were dining at in Honolulu. This is actually right after our trip to Rarotonga because we had to fly back via Hawaii. So we decided to extend a few nights and check out some of the delicious food that they had in Hawaii. And here's what we found.
The smash burger is a little on the small side. Fits in my head quite nicely, but it's $5. So, this is the Oklahoma fried onion burger. Let's see how it tastes.
Yeah.
Damn. That is a tasty burger. Okay, so this place is a little hidden treasure. You can get a Mai Tai for $5. Probably gonna knock you off your foot, off your butt. Get a Kirin for $4.
Well, 1 out of 3 ain't bad, right? That's what editing's all for, so we can actually make sure that we get the facts out there, even if the video is not correct in the moment. But that was at the Hawaiian marketplace, the one that's right on the beach, right on the main road, in the food court of all places. And yes, the Mai Tais will maybe not knock you off your foot, but they will knock you off your butt. They were strong and they were cheap. And that Oklahoma smash burger had such an amazing sear on it and such good flavor. It's worth going just for that. I mean, of course, and poke at every ABC restaurant, ABC store on every street corner. I mean, you couldn't go wrong there. But yeah, kind of a funny little adventure. Okay, the next one is this. You might have seen this one. I really liked how this one was edited. Well, self-promotion. Oh, and by the way, if you're enjoying this video and you haven't already done so, please consider giving it a thumbs up because it really does help out the channel. But this is part of our adventure going on the new Mayan train just after it had opened and just before we went to the Hyatt Vivid when that had just opened. So let's check this out.
Okay, so fun fact, the ADO station that the Train Maya ADO bus brings you to is not the one that's right on 5th Avenue. It's the one at 12th and 20th, which is still fine. I mean, it's about 3 blocks to 5th Avenue, and then from there you can carry on in either direction. The driver said that he would sell tickets on the way back, 55 pesos for the train, and there's actually 2 of them that are already sitting here just behind me. So rest assured, this is the right place. But I have to say, I was kind of feeling good about my Spanish until this experience, and now I feel like I know nothing. So it's been a learning. Still have no idea how we're going to get from the Cancun terminal to downtown to the hotel, but stay tuned.
Yeah, and you know what? That trip, that tour for the day, it all ended up fine. But my goodness, what an adventure! I mean, it was just not only was it a case of at every turn, every time getting to the train, getting from the train to Playa del Carmen, getting from the Playa del Carmen bus station back to the train, which, okay, in fairness, that was just a logical error because I should have known if it's a 20-minute drive from the bus depot to the train station that it's not going to leave 20 minutes prior, which I didn't clue in. And as much as I was using Google Translate, so, I've got it, I put it in my, the cart or whatever you call that. Oops. At the tray at the bottom of your phone so that it's got quick access. You can do the Google Translate conversation. Obviously, it still didn't quite work as well as I needed it to. And we ended up taking a taxi and literally running like chariots of fire to get on the train. And 30 seconds after we got on board is when the train actually departed. So it was madness. But it was quite the adventure. If you want to watch again, that link to that whole video is down below. And then finally, we are ending with the biggest mistake I've made. And hey, you got to own up to these things. But yeah, this was last year going to the resorts in Cabo San Lucas and, back and forth on my dates, when I'm going to arrive and all this kind of stuff. And arriving at the Rio Palace, Cabo San Lucas. So let's check this out.
So I screwed up. So really excited to get off the plane, get to the resort here in Cabo San Lucas, Mexico, coming to the Rio Palace, Cabo San Lucas Resort, and they wouldn't let me in. Turns out I had booked my arrival on the 26th of February, which is Monday, but my flight was on Sunday. I mean, I've probably booked 1,000 or thousands of hotel rooms and stays for myself or clients over the years. Never have I ever messed up on the dates before. But this time I did. And I really, in a big way, did.
Yeah. So as ever, you throw a bit of money at the problem and get it resolved. And we ended up staying at what ended up being a really nice hotel. It was part of the Marriott, but one of the more like courtyard or something like that, basic. But nonetheless, it was an adventure. And I tell you what, when I walked into the Rue the next day and was able to check in, I was like, I love this place. So yeah. So, there's been a lot of laughs over the years. I mean, the channel started in 2009, so we're coming up to, what is that, 14 years? In March of 2009. So, no, 16 years, 16 years anniversary. This is the 1000th video. If you've enjoyed it, please consider giving it a thumbs up. Thank you for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed looking back on some of the bloopers, some of the funny moments that have happened over the years. It's been interesting, looking back and collecting these clips and sharing them with you. So thanks for tuning in today. Next Wednesday, back to regular travel talk. So I hope to see you then. I hope you have a great week. In the meantime, great weekend. And we will see you next Wednesday. Thanks for watching.